What if I told you that billions of dollars were spent building entire cities that no one lives in, airports, with no passengers, or skyscrapers, without a single tenant? This isn't fiction. It's the real-world story of ambition, greed, and failure at the grandest scale. Around the world, governments and developers have launched megaprojects meant to revolutionize the future. But instead of delivering innovation and prosperity, many of them ended up becoming modern ruins. In this video, we take you on a global journey through some of the most infamous megaprojects that crumbled under the weight of their own dreams. Meet Joan, who lives on the 28th floor of an otherwise empty high-rise in Malaysia's staggering $100 billion Megaproject Forest City. Marketed with glossy brochures and utopian promises, this ambitious development was envisioned as a self-sustaining futuristic city for 700,000 residents. The plan? Waterfront condos, smart infrastructure, eco-parks, and a global community of elites. But today, the city stands almost completely empty, with just over 1% of its units occupied. Joan and her husband find themselves surrounded by silence, no neighbors, no nightlife, and barely any signs of life. Even in daylight, their corridor feels abandoned, shrouded in shadows and silence. What was once pitched as Southeast Asia's pinnacle of innovation has devolved into a surreal, concrete wilderness. The dream: lavish living in a vibrant metropolis. The reality? Towering ghosts of optimism and a haunting testament to overambitious planning. If you find stories like this fascinating, hit the subscribe button right now. We dive into stories no one else dares to tell. In Egypt, 30 miles east of Cairo, a brand new capital is rising from the sands of the desert. An ambitious project meant to redefine the country's future. The government's solution to Cairo's choking congestion, smog, and overpopulation. Simply build a whole new city. And this isn't just a satellite town, this is a $58 billion mega development, envisioned to rival global capitals in scale and modernity. It's planned to be roughly the size of Singapore, and designed to house government ministries, foreign embassies, high-tech business districts, and even the tallest building in Africa. But here's where the dream begins to crack. With basic apartment units starting at $50,000, and Egypt's average annual income hovering around just $3,000, it's clear this city was never meant for the everyday Egyptian. The population it claims to relieve might never be able to afford a place here. Surveillance infrastructure is already being implemented, with over 6,000 AI-powered cameras keeping watch. Critics fear the city is more of a dystopian showroom for elite control rather than a haven for citizens. So the question remains, who exactly is going to live there, and at what cost? Build a whole new city from scratch. But with apartments costing $50,000 in a country where most people earn just $3,000 a year, who exactly is going to live there? Then there's the Jang Hotel in Pyongyang, North Korea, a massive 105-story concrete pyramid that has never hosted a single guest. Since construction began in 1987, initially envisioned as the tallest hotel in the world, it was North Korea's attempt to showcase communist modernity and compete with the West during the Cold War era. With its 5 revolving restaurants and space for 3,000 rooms, the design was futuristic, bold, and ultimately unsustainable. But as the Soviet Union collapsed and North Korea plunged deeper into economic turmoil, funding dried up. The hotel was left as a hollow shell for over 16 years, an unfinished and uninhabitable concrete giant looming over the capital. To save face, the regime tried to erase its presence from official maps and photos. Then in 2008, an Egyptian company covered the shell in gleaming glass panels, giving it the illusion of completion. Inside, however, remained a barren maze of exposed cement and unfinished infrastructure. In 2018, large LED screens were installed to project propaganda across the night sky, making the structure a beacon of ideology rather than hospitality. Despite periodic rumors of opening, no guest has ever checked in. The Jang Hotel remains a hollow monument to broken dreams, political vanity, and a chilling reminder that even towering ambition can't outrun economic reality. In the heart of the Saudi desert, a futuristic mirrored skyscraper known as the Line is being etched into the landscape with staggering ambition. Envisioned as a 170-kilometer-long linear city, this vertical metropolis is designed to house 9 million residents in a car-free, carbon-neutral environment. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman calls it a revolution in civilization where flying taxis replace cars, AI governs daily life, and children learn under holographic teachers beneath artificial moons. But beyond the gleaming promotional videos and architectural renderings lies a disturbing reality. Entire villages have been razed, and indigenous tribes forcibly evicted to make room for the project. In at least one tragic instance, a tribesman who resisted relocation was shot and killed. Former Saudi officials in exile have spoken about the brutal orders: displace or eliminate any opposition, and that's not the only red flag. The line defies known engineering logic, with daily temperature swings exceeding 40 degrees Celsius. Engineers say the materials required to accommodate such expansion and contraction at that scale don't even exist yet. Despite this, construction is barreling ahead, allegedly spurred by manipulated projections and inflated feasibility reports. Over $50 billion has already been spent, yet only 2% of the project has been completed. With additions like a 30-story upside-down glass tower called the Chandelier, designed by Marvel concept artist Sand AI Systems said to monitor not just movement, but emotional states. The line is starting to resemble a dystopian sci-fi experiment, more than a livable city. It stands today as one of the most controversial and surreal megaprojects on Earth, a shimmering monument to unchecked ambition, surveillance, and the fragile boundary between visionary and delusional. What about Dubai's World Islands? This grandiose $14 billion project aimed to reshape the coastline with 300 artificial islands arranged to mirror the map of the world. Each island was supposed to represent a different country and be sold to billionaires who could claim ownership of their very own Australia, France, or Brazil. These man-made isles were marketed as the ultimate in exclusivity luxury homes, boutique resorts, and private beaches far away from the bustle of the mainland. But the dream didn't survive reality. The 2008 global financial crisis hit Dubai's property market hard, and funding for the islands dried up almost overnight. Construction halted. Many investors pulled out. Only a handful of islands were ever partially developed, while most were left as barren patches of sand surrounded by sea. Environmental factors made things worse. Erosion, shifting sands, and unstable foundations slowly began reclaiming the islands back into the Persian Gulf. Today, most of them are either abandoned or sinking. A single island, Lebanon, operates as a beach club, offering curious tourists a glimpse of what could have been. Attempts to revive the project through theme developments like the Heart of Europe have yielded minimal results. For now, Dubai's World Islands stand as one of the most extravagant reminders that when you build castles on sand, literally, the tide eventually washes them away. In the U.S., California's bullet train was meant to connect San Francisco and Los Angeles at a blazing speed of 220 miles per hour, ushering in a new era of high-speed travel. Voters approved the project back in 2008. With a budget of $33 billion and promises of a sleek rail system completed by 2020. The vision, a revolutionary shift away from car culture connecting two of America's most powerful cities with a clean, fast, and efficient mode of transport comparable to Japan's Shinkansen or France's TGV. But here we are, over 15 years later, and despite spending more than $13 billion, not a single mile of track has been laid. Instead of becoming a symbol of American innovation, the project has morphed into a case study in bureaucratic failure. The construction didn't even start in either of the major cities. It began in California's sparsely populated Central Valley, simply because federal grants required the funds to be used there first. Land acquisition issues, political infighting, and poor contractor selection plagued progress from the start. In fact, the company awarded a nearly billion-dollar construction contract received the lowest technical score among bidders for safety and engineering. Meanwhile, displaced farmers and homeowners were left waiting for compensation as their land was seized. The project became so chaotic that French rail experts who initially consulted on it eventually pulled out, calling the American process more dysfunctional than anything they'd seen even in developing countries. Today, the cost is projected to balloon past $113 billion, and there's no realistic completion date in sight. What was meant to be America's leap into the future of transit is now a cautionary tale, a monument not to progress, but to red tape, political interests, and the tragic art of overpromising and underdelivering. Europe joins the list with not one but two infamous airport disasters that perfectly showcase how ambition without planning can lead to absurd outcomes. First up is Berlin-Brandenburg Airport, a facility that took over 3 decades to complete. Originally planned in 1990 after the fall of the Berlin Wall, it was supposed to represent Germany's modern, unified identity. Instead, it became an international punchline. Scheduled to open in 2012, the airport was delayed by a shocking number of design and engineering flaws, including a fire safety system that simply didn't work, and over 170,000 kilometers of faulty wiring. That's enough cable to wrap around the Earth 4 times. When it finally opened in 2020, the timing couldn't have been worse. It was in the middle of a global pandemic, when international travel had all but shut down. Ironically, the airport's emptiness, which was once its biggest flaw, suddenly became its saving grace, allowing further work without the chaos of crowds. Then there's Spain's Rio Airport. Located hundreds of kilometers from any major city, in an area with no real demand for air travel, built during Spain's economic boom, at a staggering cost of $1 billion. It boasted one of Europe's longest runways and a terminal capable of handling 10 million passengers annually. The problem? Almost no one came. Only a couple of airlines ever flew there, and they quickly pulled out. The airport filed for bankruptcy within just 3 years. At one point, a Chinese consortium tried to buy the entire facility for just $1, a humiliating price that truly reflected its value. Eventually sold off for a fraction of its original cost, it now serves as a bizarre aircraft graveyard and occasional movie set. These airports stand today not as gateways to the world, but as monuments to overbuilding, mismanagement, and delusions of grandeur. Ever heard of a $19 billion tunnel for nuclear waste that's never been used? Welcome to Yucca Mountain, Nevada, one of the most expensive and controversial infrastructure failures in American history. The idea was simple: store the nation's growing stockpile of radioactive waste deep underground, far from population centers, in a secure geological repository. But the execution, a spectacular mess. From the start, the selection process for the site was riddled with political bias. Though 3 sites, one each in Washington, Texas, and Nevada, were supposed to be evaluated, Congress zeroed in on Nevada, conveniently ignoring the others. Critics argued this had less to do with geology and more with political muscle. Texas and Washington had powerful allies in Congress. Nevada, not so much. Billions were poured into research, tunneling, and reports. Contractors ran wild. Some were paid millions for environmental tests that were never properly conducted. Water meters were disabled to exceed legal limits, and calibration records were faked. Engineers later discovered that the supposedly dry mountain sat atop an active fault line and was prone to water seepage, both fatal flaws for long-term nuclear storage. Rather than abandon the site, officials simply moved a few buildings and pressed on. By the time the Obama administration finally pulled the plug in 2010, the U.S. had already burned through nearly $19 billion. To add insult to injury, energy companies had been forced to pay into a nuclear waste disposal fund, money that was passed on to consumers through electric bills. Even after Yucca was canceled, the government kept collecting those fees until courts intervened in 2014. Today, that fund holds over $52 billion, sitting idle while radioactive waste continues to accumulate at temporary facilities nationwide. Yucca Mountain remains a symbol of how not to solve a critical problem. It's a tale of greed, short-sighted decisions, and the high cost of ignoring science in favor of politics. And for now, it stands empty, a $19 billion hole in the ground that may never serve the purpose it was built for. Finally, there's Jedha Tower, Saudi Arabia's audacious attempt to build the tallest structure the world has ever seen. Designed to pierce the sky at an astonishing 1,000 meters, it was supposed to surpass Dubai's Burj Khalifa by nearly 180 meters, making it the world's first kilometer-high skyscraper. Conceived as the centerpiece of the $20 billion Jeddah economic city, the project promised to redefine architecture, engineering, and Saudi Arabia's place on the global stage. Construction began in 2013 with tremendous fanfare and rapid progress. By 2018, 63 floors had been built, reaching a height of over 250 meters. But then, everything ground to a halt. The reason? A sweeping anti-corruption crackdown initiated by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The tower's key financier, billionaire Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, was detained along with the head of the construction firm, Bakr bin Laden, brother of Osama bin Laden, sending the project into indefinite limbo. For 6 years, the partially completed skeleton of Jedha Tower loomed awkwardly over the surrounding desert, frozen in time. But in 2024, construction surprisingly resumed with renewed optimism and updated architectural plans. The government now hopes to complete it by 2028, but skepticism is high. Not only are there engineering challenges of building at such altitudes, where wind forces can cause significant sway, but there's also uncertainty around materials, labor, and continued financing. If completed, Jedha Tower would boast 59 elevators, including double-decker lifts, and a sky terrace at the 157th floor, offering panoramic views of the Red Sea. But whether this bold vision becomes reality, or simply joins the ranks of incomplete giants, remains to be seen. With delays, detentions, and design revisions in its past, and a long way still to go, Jedha Tower stands today as a monument to suspended ambition, caught between vision and feasibility, much like many other megaprojects in this video. These megaprojects share more than just size. They share ambition, hubris, and the belief that throwing money at a problem will make it go away. And while some may see ruins, others see opportunities to try again. The question is, will we ever learn? Like, share, and subscribe for more mind-blowing stories from around the world. Until next time, keep questioning the concrete dreams.